30 seconds left.
You got 30 seconds. But what's I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will move into our consensus agenda.
So I move we approve the vouchers and the payroll from last month. Vouchers were a total of $747,165.75. Payrolls were $420,108.04. Grand total of $1,167,273.79. Along with that, I also move we approve the minutes from our last meeting.
I'll second that.
The move by Steve, seconded by Wes. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. And as you can hear, Kevin is joining us remotely. We will move on to patrons' comments. Would you like to stand and state your name and address?
Yes. I'm Ted Westaver, and I'm at 15366 Tuxedo Drive in Plymouth. And I would just like to bring up something that's probably not even on your minds at this point, but it's heavily on my mind. And I don't want to take up your time, but I just want to address one thing. And with masks being an issue in certain places in our country right now, I know it's not an issue here right now, but I was a homeschooling dad with my wife, and when she passed, I had to put my kids in public school, and I went to Triton. I'm sure most, if not everybody here went to Triton. This is a great community. I have moved to Plymouth, but I still have my kids here in Triton, and the reason is I like the school. I just want to put it out there. I don't know if it's your guys' decision or if it's Mr. Riffle, but if there would ever come a point where my kids have to wear masks to go to school, they won't be going here anymore. So I know there's a lot of people with that opinion. I understand you'll have to do whatever you have to do on your end, but I'm just making it understood that there will be at least my family and maybe others that don't go to school here anymore. And if we go back to wear masks. And again, don't mean to stir up trouble, don't mean to cause anything that shouldn't be going on, but I want to address it because it's extremely important to me. And I believe in education. I do not believe in indoctrination. And in my opinion, what happened 2.5 years ago was more indoctrination than science and education. So I'm hoping that being here in a great small town with a great school board and a great school, great leaders in our, superintendent and our principals, I'm hoping that we'll do the right thing on this round. Not that we did the wrong thing before, we did what we had to do back then. But we're in a new era and a new time, and that's my point.
We thank you for your opinion, Mr. Westaver,
Take it.
which is, I knew he was Teddy.
Yes. There's only one person
I
that
know.
told me that's my
I know,
grandma.
I know.
Especially the public.
Yeah, sorry. Moving on to the public hearing for the collective bargaining.
I don't think we have any patrons here to discuss that, so I'll just represent on that is just like we always do. I don't think it's any secret that we're going to do our best to bargain in good faith and do everything we can in our power to compensate our teachers fairly for their dedicated service. So we will start that process the week of the 21st, I believe, and then we have another hearing or another date set for October 2nd, I believe. We just had discussion last week and just briefly discussed the fact is that those would be taking place in the union expressed their want to come with offers and make that a smooth process. So we're hoping that that is the case, and we can be one of the first ones to settle as we typically are. So that is the hope.
Okay, we will have the public hearing for the bus replacement plan.
Just the information on the plan. Typically, we replace 2 buses every year. The schedule only calls for 1 bus next year. It's a regular 66-passenger bus. So, the plan.
And
Those quotes and recommendation will be made in the
Yeah. Yep.
have we gotten the buses that we had, are all the buses that we have ordered and paid for it in now?
Yes.
Okay.
Does it behoove us to get that order in sooner than later?
Later in the meeting, you'll be asked to approve an intent to purchase.
Yep.
That's actually the bus that we're replacing in 2024.
For that very reason, just due to the fact
Typically, we do that, or, if they want a purchase order, we can't do it till January 1, but they said they'll get it ordered with intent to purchase. So we'll get that at least on the path, and I guess no guarantees when it'll come in, but the sooner we can get it ordered, the sooner we'll get it.
So that locks the pricing in. We already know that that's incredibly more than what we paid the last time, but that does lock the price in for that. So. Same thing with capital projects and budget. Obviously, those were in your packet as far as capital projects. Kind of goes over many of the projects that we're looking at as far as floor tile, sidewalk, fencing, asphalt, ceiling. We did talk a little bit about pre-board meeting, but some of the projects that NDOT has going on in Bourbon. So I think it's worthy of noting and just trying to make some sidewalks just to give even more access to the school and our sidewalks in a safe place for people to obviously get to school first and foremost, but exercise and all of that. So, yeah. Any other questions on, or do you want to explain?
Projects, several ongoing projects were finished up this year. We've been spending roughly $50,000 a year on masonry work for the buildings. I think ceiling tile was complete. So the only things that are really left on there is we do floor tile in the high school every year, classroom or 2. Just normal routine maintenance on parking lots. So smaller projects. With past capital projects and the bond issuance, we were able to knock out most of the big stuff that we have planned. So.
Okay.
The fencing, I don't know if you guys have seen that, doesn't draw a lot of attention, but the fencing that was from the south side of campus to the pavilion at the park is complete, and that looks really, really nice. Obviously an eyesore kind of beforehand, now it kind of blends in, but it definitely looks a lot better than before, and it matches everything that is on the south side of campus. So, yeah, just continuing this project.
As far as the budget hearing, education fund, debt service and operations, education, our budget is going to increase considerably for the 23-24 school year because of the couple positions that we added that we were able to pay from federal funds the last couple of years, namely the elementary counselor and the assistant principal at the high school. For this school year, they do switch back to the education fund. That was planned. It's worked into our budget. Operations-wise, the growth quotient for calendar year 2024 is 4%, which means our levy that we can collect is limited to a 4% increase. Overall budget, overall tax rate should be right around that 84 to 86 cent thing, same as it's been for the last several years. So don't expect a huge increase. Don't know what the assessed value is going to do, but I mean, based on what we're levying for, it should remain roughly the same.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, we will move on to personnel.
All right, I'd like to recommend, in your packets has the list of ECA staff, so extracurricular activity staff. So I'd like to recommend those. With that, I'll go ahead and include Janet Jackson as the Science Club sponsor, just to clarify on that one. Somehow that got missed last year, so we will retroactively pay her for last year and for this year, but also an ECA club sponsor. So I'd like to recommend those to the board.
And we approve those as presented.
I'll second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
I'd like to recommend the approval of Rebecca Carter as a substitute teacher. Just a clarification note on that. Obviously, we're bringing those individuals to the board, but we are also meeting with them individually to go over expectations if they were unable to come to our substitute training that we had. So I think just talking about continuous improvement, that's one of those things where we're working through those expectations with those individuals that we may not know as well, and just expressing through our substitute handbook what our expectations are as they come into our school and or classrooms.
Okay,
I move we approve that.
Second.
been moved by Steve, seconded by Wes. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
The next three kind of go hand in hand. They're either volunteers or dealing with our performing arts area. So I recommend the approval of Jessica Amston, David Doss, Angela Doss, Ryan Hurd, Alicia Hurd, Ethan Cooper, Betty Berkey-Pyle as high school band volunteers. Also Ralph Berkey-Pyle as an ECA bus driver. He I don't know how many years he drove for Plymouth Community Schools, but they're Trojans now, and we were having difficulty with just finding bus drivers for all the activities that overlap. So he said he would be willing to do that. He was originally driving the truck and trailer, so Jeremy Weisert, I'd recommend Jeremy Weisert as a corporation truck and trailer ECA driver as well.
I would move that we approve these ECA positions.
Second?
Been moved by Ken, seconded by Wes. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. On to business.
All right, I recommend the approval to accept the 23-24 annual financial report. Along the same lines is the junior-senior high school financial report and the elementary financial report, all of which were in the packet and line itemed to those different clubs and activities. Be more than happy to answer any questions on those.
I move we approve those as presented.
Second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Ken. Any just,
Anything, Tom, that we needed to
Yeah.
note on those?
No, it's just a very detailed list of all the transactions that happen, that the report's gotta be filed with the State Board of Accounts every year, and then in the instructions, it says file one copy with the Board of Trustees, so.
You have been filed.
all right, any other discussion? All in favor? Motion
Aye.
passes 5-0.
The next two are items, obviously, we have to have resolutions for, so I'd recommend the adoption of the resolution for the 2024 bus replacement plan and the 2024 capital projects fund that we spoke about in the public hearing.
I move we approve those as presented.
That's better than I was gonna come up with how to say it. I'll second that.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Wes. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
The next two items, once again, need to come to the board yearly just for knowledge sake, but also to make sure that we're following these plans. So I recommend the approval of the Corporation Emergency Preparedness Plan If you had a chance to look at that 65, 70-page document, it's a lot of information as far as any scenario we can possibly think of, and what our plan is for that. Obviously, those are practiced, and there's teams within our buildings that will carry out those plans. Be glad to take any questions on that. Also, the annual review of bus routes and student transportation, it's recommended or mandated that Laura provide. The fact is that we are dropping students off in a safe manner. Where we're dropping them off at, we're not doing that on state roads, crossing traffic, all of the things that are the new expectations, and just quite frankly, the safest way to do that. We have 13 regular route buses, 5 vocational buses, and 2 special ed buses. And her plan essentially is under Indiana Code 202710-0.5, which is the recommendation of bringing that to the board to make sure that that's safe and, yeah, safe.
I got that number. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. 202710.
I move we approve the vouchers.
I'll second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Ken. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
As we discussed earlier, I'd like to recommend the approval or the intent to purchase a Thomas 66 passenger bus from Curlin Bus Sales in the amount of $130,266.
I move that we move to get that bus.
We thought doorknobs were a lot.
Yeah, we did.
That is
I'll
true.
second that.
It's been moved by Wes, seconded by Ken. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
That comes with cameras on there, right? I thought so.
And there were 3 quotes on that, so in the end, those are all in the packet. Last but not least, we came to the board, or we asked Greg Miller to come to the board in July, sometime July, I believe, June or July, just to talk about going through the process of getting another quote for insurance, for our liability insurance. We are currently a member of SCREFT. He has given that quote in our conversations with both he and just Tom and I. Currently, I think we're going to go ahead and continue to move on with SCREFT. However, we now will have, when SCREFT gives us their quote in December, we will have kind of apples to apples comparison and make a educated decision after that. Still having to go through the 90-day process of getting out of SCREFT, all of that. Multiple schools around us are doing very similar things. Some are choosing to stay, some are choosing to go, but we just feel better off being able to compare those, the timing of SCREFT and their, no, what?
Notice to withdraw in 90 days, so we can.
Yeah, but also their quotes or their updated, what would you call that? Renewal processes don't happen until essentially that 90 days is passed, right? So that it's probably purposeful. It doesn't make it real friendly to somebody who's trying to compare prices, as we would if, as homeowners, we could do that in the same time period and 2 different vendors. But so we'll play their game, but likely we'll stay where we're at for a year and then reassess that. We are hearing increases of possibly up to 20%. So in the end, really, we went down that road to make sure that we were competitive and that we weren't getting taken advantage of, and we found out that they were close enough to where currently we would be paying less through SCREFT than we would the other vendor, but with a 20% increase, that may change in December, right? So at that point in time, we'll probably go down that road again and make a decision. Probably next June or July, we'll come back with a recommendation on starting that process, or not starting that process, wherever we land. So, that was just an update. I'm not asking for any recommendation on that.
Okay, superintendent report.
All right, continuous improvement. I'm happy to report that we continue to see slow but steady progress on our bond projects. The Performing Arts Center is currently done with the first phase of that. We will be looking at curtains and redoing the floor. When I say phases, it's all part of the project, but what's done versus what will be done eventually is still in the process of that. The front office of each building will be completed over fall break, as we've discussed. We're now able to utilize door 4 as of today, so that is now open and working. So we will change our transportation from door 9 to door 4 and 1, back to the way it used to be. Door 1 at the elementary school is nearing completion. We just have to run some more wire, is my understanding, and that will be working in short order. Thinking about continuous improvement, ways to get our students involved with one another. I love the pictures of the Triton varsity football team taking the time to welcome our Triton elementary students on Friday at the elementary building. This went over very well as an area of improvement we will try to continue to expand, allowing our students of influence to positively impact our younger students. Shared leadership, Triton, where it says shared leadership, it says we work as a team. Each member provides essential leadership in support of our common goal. And to see Cheyenne Hawley as the 2023 Miss Blueberry was awesome. She represented our school corporation, our community, her family extremely well. Saw her just happened to catch her on ABC 57 News, saying our name, and the fact is that she's grateful for the people of our community, but then also representing us to Marshall County. So just a stellar job on her part. I do want to thank Brian Feldman and Jerry Newman for being willing to be honored as the Lutheran Health Network Fans of the Night at our last 2 football games. Their service to our school, students, and community, and our patrons is truly appreciated. So Jerry was looking good, loving not working every day, but yet really enjoying her time at the Bremen Hospital. But then also Brian just doing a great job on our campus, keeping care of our outside. Social responsibility on August 23rd, we had Tammy Napier come talk to our Triton scholars, 7th through 12th graders, about technology, bullying, and the long-term effects of poor decision-making when it comes to social media. I would love to say that her talk really made a huge impact, and I think it did, but it does not negate that we continue to deal with pictures, social media, and the negatives that brings to our world, but specifically our school corporation. So we're going to continue to preach the message and hope that eventually people understand the ramifications of what that means to their life. Please know that we continue to make our students aware of the positive and not so positive features of social media. She reminded our staff and students today that it's their responsibility and their families' responsibilities to make wise choices for their future success. High expectations on August 25th, Career and Technical Ed scholars who are part of the new Fire and Rescue Program met with Governor Holcomb. That was a pretty awesome time for them. Our Fire and Rescue Program is held in Plymouth, and I will tell you it is an outstanding program right now. It's going very, very well. This is year 1 for that program. Those kiddos come every day in their uniforms, looking sharp and learning what it looks like to be a first responder. So super proud of them, and they got the opportunity to meet our governor. Alignment on August 7th, the entire corporation received training on trust-based relational intervention. We talked a little bit about that on August 24th. We had 46 staff members that took part in the first training on that. I will tell you that's the day we lost our air conditioning. The Performing Arts Center was already blasted hot. And it just so happened that our discussion on that day was how to regulate your body and mind when things don't go as planned. So we got firsthand, I don't know that everybody passed that test, but we got firsthand experience on how to regulate our bodies and just kind of work through that on that day. So luckily all of that, so I guess to report on that is fixed. It was the breaker, and we have had no issues since, so that's a really good thing. But our next training will be on September 14th as we continue to learn about educating kiddos that come from trauma and how we can best serve them. Last but not least, evidence-based decision-making. I had the opportunity with Tom, Nate, and Allie Shook, who is the executive director of Lifelong Learning Network, and we went to Headsite in Bremen. Outstanding tour. We met with Paul Harms, who is just a class act gentleman, told us a little bit about their business. he has the desire to engage with Triton students when it comes to internships and just opportunities to work in that environment and continue to expand their understanding of what Marshall County has to offer for engineers in the technology field. It's amazing. You look at that place and you think it's for farm equipment, but in the end, they have their own separate area for coders that are sitting in there and trying to figure out these sensors and how that's going to work on the head of a combine and how that's going to work with rows of corn just to make that efficient when it comes to yields and all of that. So I love that type of thing. It was an awesome experience for us to talk to him, and he was just super gracious with his time and really has an interest in Triton students and our school corporation. His wife is Tennille Harms, who we just hired as the chemistry. I always say physics. Chemistry teacher, who, by the way, is just doing a phenomenal job. But yeah, just those relationships it just makes it fun to hear what they do for a living and how that impacts our kids or will impact our kids in the future. So awesome stuff.
Okay, patrons' comments again? No? If not, we will hear our building report. So whoever would like to go first.
All right, I guess for the elementary, where I feel like we're off to a good start. Last week, we sent home our first progress reports, which give us an indication of how our students are doing. We've just finished up our beginning of year assessments, and we are having data analysis on Wednesday and Thursday this week with all grade levels to kind of look at that. We've started some of our intervention programs this week for kindergarten. Next week, we'll start for the rest of the other grade levels, helping students in order to reach our school-wide goals. We also looked at we've done a little bit of changes, added 5 minutes to our kindergarten and first grade lunches this year. Just give them a little bit more time to get in there, to get served, to get seated, to open packages, and time to eat. It takes them a little bit longer. So far, I think that's going pretty well. And at least it's just a tad more relaxing, I think, for them. Tomorrow, we do have someone coming in from outside, from SCAN, who is going to be presenting to all grade levels about body safety. And that's part of our child protection units that we are required to do before December. So I hope that it's just another one of the things that we do. Yes, it's a requirement, but it's also something that can help educate our kids and help keep them safe, whether it's, in school, outside of school, online, whatever. And so we're looking forward to that tomorrow. Miss Stacy Sheets is kind of coordinating those efforts as well, and teachers are doing bullying training in the classroom, and she's part of that as well. We've also been doing test security training for all staff, which is also required of IDOE. I think that's going well, and we prepare all year for testing that we think about happens in the spring of the year, but really we're working toward it all year and getting our students ready for those events. We've had second grade going to the dunes last week, had a great meeting, and then we also have coming up fourth grade going away to the Forks of the Wabash on a trip. We also have our preschoolers going away this month. We also have Triton Gives Back. Right now we have some people who are planning for that. We have sixth grade who's doing a food drive right now. They're having some fun competition between classrooms, and there's a nice chart in the hallway, a bar chart in the hallway that's pretty awesome in the main hall, keeping track of what people have brought in. Fourth grade is also collecting coins for Riley's. So all good things coming up. We'll also have our walkathon at the very last week of September as well. I think that's about it, if you have any questions.
Okay, for the junior, senior high school, Mr. Riffle kind of mentioned this. August 23rd, we had Tammy Napier, our deputy prosecutor for Marshall County, come in, and we talked about the cyber safety. And phenomenal speaker, does a great job. I mean, really paints a real picture for our kids. just the pitfalls of social media and just the internet. So, but I will say we continue to have kids that fall into that trap. So I just encourage parents, get nosy, get in their kids' phones. And I'll even say, if they have Snapchat, get rid of it. It's a pitfall for our kids. August 31st, we had data analysis with our math and language arts teachers. So just taking a look at last year's iLearn data, what can we do to improve on those scores? We finished up NWEA and SRI, looked at those scores as well, just trying to inform how we can better meet the kids' needs in the classroom. August 30th and 31st, we had our junior and senior audit days, and that's just a day when our counselors meet with every junior, every senior, and they just make sure that they have a really good plan from now into graduation so that they can meet those goals after high school, whatever that might be. So those were a success. Observations are underway, so Mr. Yarbrough and I are already in classrooms and seeing the great things that are going on in our classrooms, and there are some great things. September 21st, that's going to be our late arrival day. The focus at the junior senior high school is going to be safety. We'll also be doing some test security items with our staff. September 24th through the 29th is our College Go Week, so there's going to be a lot of focus just on those post-secondary plans. And I will say that is a week where a lot of Indiana schools will waive those application fees. So parents, be on the lookout for that. October 4th is our Dream Day. Again, that's for juniors and seniors, and that's a time we bring in a lot of universities, colleges, employers in Marshall County, Kosciuszko County, the surrounding areas, and they just have an opportunity for our kids to really dialogue with those individuals to think about their next steps. And we're actually going to have Plymouth is going to bring their juniors and seniors over as well, and they're going to have that experience with us. So look forward to that day. And then I just want to give a shout out to the band. They had their first marching band competition Saturday down in Bluffton. And in Class D, I believe it is, they were first place. I know they got 3 trophies. I could not tell you exactly what those trophies are for, but they did a phenomenal job. Those kids put in a ton of time and effort. So does Mr. Seal. And I just appreciate that. So good job. So that's what I have, and take questions if you have it. Thank you.
If there is no other business, we will move to adjourn at 7:31.